next, the two Spaniards, Alonso and Sainz, were the race start kings this weekend. Vamos to the two Spaniards. I mean, sprint race, Alonso gained 7. Sainz, before his contact with Russell, gained 4 positions, and then he made the contact with Russell. Sainz started P11, and within 10 laps, he was behind the two McLarens, busy chasing down Ricciardo. And Alonso, in a car, well done to Ocon as well, but in a car that shouldn't have finished in the points, maintained his P7, and on the first lap, he got ahead of Ricciardo for a few corners. He just didn't have the downforce that the McLaren had on heavy fuel to stay ahead of him. But Alonso and Sainz were the two race start kings for me this weekend. And Boosted, what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I think this just, I'm going back to it, but this just shows how these two drivers are getting used to their new cars, and now they're like, okay, I know what this car is capable of, and now I'm gonna push it till it can't, till the wheels fall off.
Exactly.
And that just excites me even more, because that's also the racing what we want to see. And it's sad for me that the other teams don't want to bring upgrades the rest of the year, but this also will give us a roughly idea what cars are capable of furthermore for the rest of the season.
Very, very true. And Janco, just your opinion on Alonso and Sainz's starts for this weekend. What do you think they both had good weekends?
Yes, but I didn't see the start of the sprint race. I only came in at about lap 5 because honestly I forgot about it. I had a hectic day. But yeah, I think in the race on Sunday they did really, really good. Like you said, Alonso, in one of the slower cars on the grid, maintained a P7. He's comfortable in the car and, like Boosted said, willing to push it to the limits.
But even me, who's bashing a lot on Ocon, I'm not going to deny that Ocon finished in P9. Ocon had a solid weekend, and he wasn't too far behind Alonso, and who was in P8 again? Stroll, yes. He wasn't far behind Alonso and Stroll, and I mean, Alonso and Stroll almost battled after Stroll's pit stop, because Stroll went long. After Stroll's pit stop, Alonso and Stroll almost battled all the way to the flag, and Ocon was busy catching them. Yes, obviously they're battling, so he is going to catch, but Ocon, within the last 5 laps, he was, I think, only a few seconds behind him and having a very solid race. So obviously, Janco, I know you don't feel too bad about Ocon. Your opinion on his performance this weekend?
I think, for me, it was maybe worth mentioning, but I wasn't really concentrating on him. I was concentrating on how pissed off I was at Hamilton for causing the crash. But yeah, he didn't have a bad performance, but I don't know, I don't really have much to say about that.
And Boosted, your opinion on Ocon?
For me, he really did good. That just shows me, I think he's taking a hint or lessons or whatever he's taking from Alonso and trying to apply it, or he's changing up his game somewhere and somehow to find more pace. And that just shows me he's determined and he's not taking the last line down. He's okay, no, I didn't win Alonso this year, well this race, but what can I do for the next one? He's very determined, and I think that's the mindset he needs, and he will need to compete with his teammate Alonso.
Most definitely. So that is enough said about Ocon. I'm actually going to skip the next topic because we've already praised Alonso more than enough. But moving into Red Bull. So personally, for me, obviously, with the spin on Saturday in the sprint race, Checo unfortunately puts himself, well, the dirty air put Sergio, you can drink from the bottle, put himself in a very bad position for the race. And obviously the reason Checo didn't finish in the points is because Red Bull wanted him to steal the fastest lap from Hamilton, which he unfortunately still didn't do. So that's the reason he ended P16. But with all honesty, and yes, I understand neither Perez's mistake on Saturday or Max's crash on Sunday was Red Bull's fault. But this was honestly a terrible weekend for Red Bull, and I think it's just a weekend they need to forget and move on.
Yeah, it was a bad weekend, but like crash between Hamilton and Max, it was inevitable. Because France and the two Austrian Grand Prix, Red Bull was untouchable with Max.
Exactly.
And now it's like a reality check for Red Bulls. Okay, yeah, we did really good, but we don't need to let our egos grow too much, because otherwise we're gonna lose this.
Most definitely. And Janco, do you want to give your opinion on Red Bull's weekend? Okay, I think we're moving on to the next topic, because viewers know the two main teams I support is Ferrari and McLaren, and then my third team is AlphaTauri. But this was not a good weekend for AlphaTauri.
I really expected more from Gasly this weekend. Seriously.
And in my opinion, AlphaTauri have got some work to do before the summer break starts, with Hungary coming up this weekend. I'm honestly, and I didn't think that I was going to have this opinion about AlphaTauri with how strongly they started the year, because they were on pace with McLaren and Ferrari back at Bahrain, and
and don't forget the podium at
Baku.
Baku, yes, exactly.
So
they had an extremely strong start to the season, and now they just feels like they're dying out.
I mean, they also weren't the quickest. Yes, Gasly got P7 in France, but they were also not very good at both the races at the Red Bull Ring, and they really need to. I know.
Yeah, that's supposed to be the home race.
They need to. Obviously, they're already focusing on next year's car, but AlphaTauri have to sort out their pace difference, because they are busy battling Alpine and Aston Martin for P5 in the constructors, and of those three teams, the AlphaTauri is supposed to be the quicker car. They've got some work to do.
Yes, I agree, but because look, I think they didn't do well at Austria with the Red Bull Ring, and certainly not this weekend. But yeah, I don't know if I can blame them. Like, they have a lot of pressure on them. They're the sister Red Bull team, sorry.
Yeah, junior, sister, whatever you want to call it.
Same thing, yeah. But they have a lot of pressure on their shoulders to be as good as Red Bull. And to catch up with the top teams. And I think between those three, I really hope AlphaTauri maybe pulls it through, but I'm not sure if they will.
It's a very weird thing, because I think the difference between AlphaTauri in P5 and Aston Martin who are in P7, I think the difference between the three teams are something like 12 points. It's very
no, the
close.
5, 6 and 7 fight is close.
Just a quick mention before Booster talks about AlphaTauri. The Constructors' Championship this year for me is insane. You've got Red Bull and Mercedes battling for P1 and P2. McLaren and Ferrari battling for P. Booster is quickly getting a call, guys, so Janco is going to talk now. You've got McLaren and Ferrari battling for P3 and P4, and you've got a three-way battle for P5 between Aston Martin, AlphaTauri, and Alpine. That's insane.
And I think there's a lot of battling in the Constructors' Championship. Like, it's crazy, but it's entertaining, you know?
It's very entertaining.
We don't know right now what's going to happen until the last race, basically. And maybe it's like 2019 when the last race can still decide who ends where.
Yes, most definitely. I mean, even last year when McLaren battled with Renault and when they were still Racing Point and not yet Aston Martin, there was a three-team battle for P3 in the Constructors. And yes, McLaren came out on top last year, but that was the most exciting battle on the grid. You had 6 drivers battling hammer and fist just to get P3 in the Constructors. And now we've got 3 different Constructors battles. And I honestly, it's just so entertaining.
It really is. Like,
alright, moving on from the whole interesting Constructors battle, guys, unfortunately Boosted has left us. He's got a little bit of an emergency, he had to get home, so me and Janco are going to take it from here. So goodbye, Boosted, and
see you later.
See you later, alligator, when I saw my baby. He's going to hate me for this part of the podcast, but it's okay, I'll talk to him in the comments. Also, guys, remember, be active in the comments if you guys have got an opinion about certain things. I mean, especially this controversial weekend between the Hamilton-Verstappen thing. If you want to lift your opinion, talk to us in the comments. We will reply with the utmost love. Now, obviously, we've already talked about AlphaTauri. They've got work to do. And heading in towards the final 4 topics, final 3 topics of this podcast, and then into the driver ratings and all the rest. Obviously, after this weekend, I'm a very proud Ferrari fan.
Like you should be?
Yeah. Well done to Scuderia Ferrari. I mean, obviously you had Sainz in the sprint race contact with Russell, blah, blah, blah. We've already talked about it. Sainz recovered at the end of the day to P7 at the end of the main race. Really racing Ricciardo hard for P6. And Leclerc led, what was it? The race was 52 laps. He led 49 laps of the British Grand Prix before Hamilton caught him at the end. Look,
And I think he was very disappointed with that. I thought you were at my house. You were extremely upset.
And I mean, if you went on Instagram and you heard Charles's team radio, he nearly started crying at the end of the race because he wanted to win. I mean, all these drivers want to win.
Yeah, but he was in the place to win,
Exactly.
and then he just couldn't pull through.
Exactly, but even though Charles didn't win, with Sainz and Leclerc's exceptional performance this weekend, I'm a proud Ferrari fan, and they did absolutely exceptional this weekend.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. They had a fantastic weekend, especially with, like you said, leading the race for 49 laps. Like, we haven't seen that all year.
We haven't seen that since 2019.
Exactly. It's just amazing.
And the thing that I want to come to, I mean, if you literally look back 3 races, back at France, both the Ferraris didn't get points.
Yeah,
Sainz
they ended outside the top 10.
Sainz ended P11 and Leclerc P60. We went to the Red Bull Ring for the Styrian GP. They both win the points. The second weekend for the Austrian Grand Prix, once again doing better than McLaren, both finishing in the points. Unfortunately, Leclerc had a bad run thanks to Perez forcing him off the track twice. Not the point.
I think that was just, that was just a horrible mistake. But
if you
anyway.
guys want to know our opinions about that, go check out the podcast for the Austrian Grand Prix. It's all in the playlist section, all right in the right order. But coming now to Silverstone. Coming now to Silverstone. Ferrari have just reinvigorated themselves, because I'm not gonna lie. After France, I was really stressed for Ferrari's half because they had such a good opening part of the season, and France came in and it was just like, what the hell?
I was kind of happy because one less competitor for Red Bull, I was like, maybe they're gonna have a bad year like they did last year. Like maybe you never know,
And literally within 3 races, they've turned it around to put Leclerc in a position where he can lead a Grand Prix. And what me and Booster said earlier this year, for those of you guys that watch the podcast, that don't miss a podcast, remember what we said. If Mercedes and Red Bull screw up, who's going to be at the front? McLaren and Ferrari. What happened at Silverstone? Perez was nowhere. Bottas didn't have the pace of either Sainz or Leclerc, even though Sainz was behind them, but he was stuck behind the McLarens, and Hamilton and Verstappen had a crash.
And Leclerc was there.
Exactly.
Ferrari took the lead because they weren't there.
Exactly.
If they're not on the pace, Ferrari's going to take it because they just do. They just have the skills for that.
And they were there when the mistakes happened. And it's the same with McLaren, with Norris and Ricciardo. Ricciardo was doing a lot better than he did. Still not where I think he should be.
But I think he's really acclimating to the car. Really good. He's starting to get the groove.
Yes, he's definitely starting to get the groove. But just from my side, I was very proud to be a Ferrari fan this weekend, and I mean, even you, when we watched the race together, even you were impressed with Ferrari's performance, and you're a Red Bull fan.
I'm not specifically a Ferrari fan. I don't have anything against them, but I don't necessarily like them. But I really was impressed with their performance. It was really good.
So overall, fantastic weekend from Ferrari, and for me personally, Ferrari was the team of the weekend.
Definitely.
With every podcast, me and Boosted or whoever does the podcast with me, I mention the team of the weekend, and for me, it was Ferrari. So
definitely, I agree with 100%.
And just going into the final topic, guys, just to talk a little bit more about this, especially with Janco, with everything we talked about, and we already mentioned it, the championship is back on.
Kind of disappointed about that, but yes.
Look, I obviously get, for you being a Verstappen fan, you want Max to run away with it. But from a viewer's and a fan's perspective,
it's better to have the challenge and to have the fight because it's more interesting.
Exactly.
Instead of like you said, the previous one where Hamilton won with 4 races left in the season.
Exactly.
There was no challenge to him.
And the thing is, last year was classified as the best season in Formula 1 history, but without a championship fight, so they can't label it as the best in history.
My first race was Monaco, I think.
The first race you were part of the team was with Monaco, yes.
What was the race before that?
The race before Monaco was Spain.
Yeah, no, I didn't watch Spain. I remember you came to my house with the first race I watched with Monaco, and I was just ecstatic.
And I mean, of this entire year, Monaco was the most boring, and you still enjoyed it.
Exactly, because it's just, it's your fault. Make me an addict.
Once again, you're welcome. But guys, that has been the talking points for the sprint race and the main race for this podcast. I actually thought we were going to talk a lot longer, but I'm glad we finished it quicker. Now, heading in towards the driver ratings. Janco, you can take the 2 harsh drivers, Mazepin and Schumacher.
Okay, so Mazepin we got 3 out of 10. Alright.
Not a lot of screen time, so...
Yeah, true, but Schumacher has 3 out of 10 as well.
Okay, now stopping at Haas. The thing is, Mazepin Now, obviously, guys, how we work, we are 8 people on the group. Everybody sends their driver ratings out of 10. We plus that together and divide it by 8 to get an average. If it's, say, for instance, anything, say, if we take a number, a 0.5 and up, it goes to the next number. Below a 0.5, it goes back to the previous number. I feel Mazepin deserved a little bit more than Schumi because he actually beat Schumacher for the second time this season. And the thing is, he didn't beat Schumacher because Schumi had problems. He beat him on pace. And Mazepin having the absolute terrible year that he's had so far. Yeah, Mazepin, exactly. I feel Mazepin deserved a 4 out of 10, but obviously we're going to stick with the 2 3s. But once again with Haas, because at the back of the grid, not a lot of screen time. But
nobody really pays attention to them because they're at the back.
Yeah, so...
but I also think they have the same rating and it doesn't have higher than Schumacher because Schumacher is the favorite because of his father.
Exactly. And I mean, I don't know if you know the story about Mazepin, why people hate him so much.
No.
Mazepin basically at the beginning of the year he sexually assaulted a lady and put it on his social media stories, and there was a massive thing where he nearly didn't get his drive, and there's a big thing about like people should stop sexually.
So he's just an ass.
Yeah, basically. But and the thing is he's got a very big ego due to his dad being one of the richest men in the world.
Yeah, I saw that because I saw that Haas only hired him to drive for them for his father's money.
Yeah, because of his sponsors. So,
yeah.
But still, Mazepin has slowly but surely started to calm down a bit. I still don't like the guy at all. I still don't believe he deserves to be in Formula 1. So both Haas drivers 3 out of 10. Now moving in towards the 2 Williams drivers, Nicholas Latifi ending up in P14 at the end of the race ahead of Sergio Perez. Yes, Perez pitted, but still brilliant weekend from Latifi. I think he deserves a better than a 4 out of 10, but still not too bad. Anything above a 3 is not too bad. But George Russell
really impressed me.
Yeah, but it's still, I'm just so sad that the Williams has got such bad race pace because George deserved points.
I think really if Mercedes decides to drop Bottas, he deserves that Mercedes spot.
No, he does. We've talked about it in previous podcasts.
Like I saw the race from last year where he filled in for Mercedes. He was holding the P1 spot for like the entire race.
He outperformed Bottas second.
Exactly. He has the skills to be there.
So Russell obviously not getting points. We couldn't give him really more than a 6 out of 10, guys. But Latifi gets a 4 and Russell a 6. But still not a bad weekend from Russell at all. Janco, you've got the 2 Alfa Romeos, Giovinazzi and Raikkonen.
Yeah. So Gio has 5 out of 10. Not bad. Like you said, anything above 3 is good, but it's not the best. And then Raikkonen also 5 out of 10.
The solid weekend from Alfa Romeo. They're not a midfield team. They're with Haas and Alfa Romeo, Haas and Williams at the back. So solid weekend from Kimi and Gio. Heading in towards Aston Martin, guys, fantastic weekend from Lance Stroll, especially the recovery on Sunday. Stroll deserves his 7 out of 10, and unfortunately Vettel with his good performance in the sprint race, but spinning in the main race, and unfortunately DNFing, Vettel got a 6 out of 10. But not a bad weekend from Aston Martin overall. They can take a lot from this weekend due to their good pace and push it forward for the rest of the season. Janco, you've got the 2 Alpines, Ocon and Alonso.
Okay, so Ocon had a 5 out of 10. Same with Gio and Raikkonen. Not bad, but not especially good. And then I really think that Alonso deserves a 7 out of 10.
I think I gave Alonso with my points rating. I think I gave him an 8. But a few people gave him like a 5 and stuff. I think it was Demi and Jadepie gave him like a 5, and I was like...
No, I gave him like a 7 or something.
I think you gave him an 8.
I'm not even sure. I can't remember. I have a really bad memory.
Yeah, we're doing this podcast almost 2 weeks after the race, but still, Alonso deserves a 7 out of 10. I would have liked if it had been an 8, but that's just me being biased. Heading in towards the 2 Alpha Tauris. Now, obviously, guys, this is not my fault. If this was me just doing the ratings, I would have given Tsunoda more than Gasly because Tsunoda did end in P10, actually getting the final point.
Yeah, but I also think Gasly is the favorite in the team, so...
Yeah, but and Gasly's finished behind him in P11, not far behind. But like we said, work to do for Alpha Tauri. Tsunoda gets a 5 out of 10 and Gasly a 6 out of 10. Janco, you've got the 2 McLarens, Ricciardo and Norris.
I think their points are really deserved. We've got Ricciardo at 9 out of 10. Really deserved. He really came back with his pace. And then Norris also at 9 out of 10. He really surprised me. Like, I thought that he was going to be like the young man that basically like Schumacher. I thought he was going to be at the back of the grid not doing well, but he really surprised me because you told me he's like his second or third year in F1.
Third season.
Exactly, and he just outperforms everybody else basically.
While we're here, I actually want to get your opinion on this, guys. Sorry, we're going to go into a talking point quickly here, but in I think it was the previous podcast or the podcast before that, either one of the two, I asked Jonny and Boosted. Norris is part of this group like Russell, Leclerc, Verstappen, all these massively talented young drivers. And Norris has always been seen as like the guy that's just below them. Janco, in your opinion, would you, obviously the cars are different, but would you rate Norris at the same grade as Verstappen, Russell and Leclerc?
Yes.
Thank you. I said exactly the same. Norris just has found another gear this season, and it's awesome to watch. I mean, he's outperforming a proven race winner, Ricciardo, and it's fantastic to see. And I mean, Norris is barely older than me. I think Norris is 23 years old. So.
No. So what are you doing with your life, Dirk?
It's called not having money. In any case, heading in towards my team, Scuderia Ferrari. Obviously, Carlos Sainz also a 9 out of 10. Well deserved. Fantastic recovery from Sainz.
I think Leclerc's a bit of overkill.
No. Charles Leclerc led for 49 laps, and he chased down Bottas in the sprint race. Charles gets the crown on his head. He gets a solid 11 out of 10, and I think that's well deserved. You've got the two Mercedes, Janco.
Mercedes, Bottas 7 out of 10. Hamilton also a 7 out of 10. I don't think Hamilton deserves his 7 because he is a total arse for making Verstappen crash. Even though you think it wasn't his fault, I do. But yeah, I think Bottas, he didn't really do anything exceptional this weekend. I don't know why he got a 7 out of 10 because I didn't really notice him in the race.
Yeah,
I noticed him in the start when Leclerc passed him, and that was it.
Now the thing is, for me, is you're not gonna like me now, but Bottas, I feel 7 out of 10 deserved. Not anything exceptional, but not a bad weekend. Kept P3, kept his Mercedes on the podium. But I honestly feel, even though with all the toxicity towards Hamilton, looking at his race performance with penalties and everything, coming back to get the win, I honestly feel Lewis deserved at least an 8 out of 10. But
no, I do agree with his skill shown. He dropped to like what, P16 or something.
No, he chased down, but after his pit stop, he was 8 seconds behind Bottas. He was in P4.
He didn't drop places.
Yeah,
sorry.
because he could choose when he took the penalty, but Lewis performed so well that he didn't come out in massive
Yeah, he
traffic.
chased down Bottas for the 8 seconds, and then he still took the championship. I think that is exceptional.
Yes.
Like, I do think, except for my biased opinion because I don't like him, but I do think he deserves more based on his race.
But obviously, like we said earlier in the podcast, everybody on the group except for me does not like Hamilton, so...
Not that I hate him, but I hate him.
But it's a 7 out of 10 for Lewis. And finally, the two Red Bull drivers, Perez, terrible weekend. I honestly feel he deserves a little bit less, but obviously not. The spin was not his mistake on Saturday. It's a 5 out of 10 for Checo. And Verstappen, even though he had a crash in the race on Sunday, he still did exceptional in qualifying and the sprint race, winning the sprint race. So it's a 7 out of 10 for Max. Now heading in towards the standings after the previous round for our self-created Constructors Championship, Janco, you can read us the standings after round 9 as things stood.
So we have Haas at 68 points in 10th place. 9th place we have Williams with 99. 8th place Alfa Romeo with 105. 7th AlphaTauri with 114. And together in 5th place is Alpine and Aston Martin with 116. Mercedes in 119. Deserved. And McLaren 142 in 3rd place. Ferrari 2nd with 145. I think that has your influence in it.
No. That's based off of this
And,
points plus the drivers' points together.
1st place we have Red Bull with 158. Well deserved.
Now, after this round in Silverstone, the 10th round of the season, Haas are still remaining in P10 on 74 points. But the battle all the way to P4, from P9 to P4 is really close. You've got Williams in P9 on 109, Alfa Romeo in P8 on 115 points, AlphaTauri in P7 on 125, Alpine have now moved to P6 on 128, Aston Martin are just 1 point ahead in P5 on 129, Mercedes still maintaining P4 on 133 points, and then the three big guns running away in the lead, McLaren in P3 on 160 points, Ferrari are in P2 on 165 points, and Red Bull are still maintaining P1 on 170, but the top 3 teams are just separated by 10 points, and that can change really quickly. Now, guys, the previous time we did the driver of the season standings, if you guys watched the 5th round after Spain, we only do this every 5 podcasts, every 5 races, just to make the podcast a little bit easier to do. But this was the driver standings after round 5 for the driver of the season. And Janco, you can do P20 to P11, and I'll do P10 to P1.
So 20 we have Mazepin with 9 points, 19 Tsunoda with 24, 18 Latifi with 24, so they're tied basically. 17 we have Schumacher with 27, 16 Vettel with 29, 15 Bottas with 29, and 14 Russell with 29. Eesh, close. 13 we have Gio with 30, and 12 we have Raikkonen with 32, And Alonso is in 11th place with 33 points.
And going from P10 onwards, P10 was Danny Rick, also on 33 points, tied with Alonso, but they are both also tied with Lance Stroll. Well, they were tied with Lance Stroll in P9 on 33. Esteban Ocon was in P8 on 36, tied with his fellow Frenchman Pierre Gasly in P7 on 36. Sergio Perez was tied with Lewis Hamilton in P6 with 40 points. Hamilton we put in P5 on 40 points because obviously Hamilton was in the championship fight with Verstappen. Sainz was in P4 on 41. Leclerc in P3 on 43. Norris was in P2 with 45 points, and Verstappen in P1 on 49 points. Now guys, just how this little championship works if you are new to the podcast, basically the driver ratings we give, this is just all the drivers' ratings, that specific driver's points just plus together. So Janco, for now how things stand after round 10, you've got 20th to 11th.
So in 20th place we've got Nikita Mazepin at 26 points. 19th we got Nicholas Latifi with 46 points. 18, Mick Schumacher with 48. 17 we got Yuki Tsunoda with 54. 16 we've got Gio with 57. 15th we got Raikkonen with 58, tied with Esteban Ocon in 14th with 58. 13th place we got Valtteri Bottas with 60 points. 12th we got Sebastian Vettel with 63 points, tied with George Russell in 11th place for 63 points.
Now heading into the top 10, you guys can see it's shifted a lot because it's a 5-round break after we do this. But in P10 you've got Lance Stroll, still basically a championship points position if you look at results. He's in 10th with 66 points. Alonso has jumped to P11 on 68 points. Daniel Ricciardo is in P8, just 1 point ahead of Alonso with 69 points. Pierre Gasly is still in P7, just like after the first 5 rounds. Very consistent Gasly as always on 70 points. Lewis Hamilton is now down to P6 on 73 points. Checo Perez is in 5th place on 75 points. Carlos Sainz, the top 4 has not changed. Carlos Sainz is still in P4 on 80 points, only 5 points behind his teammate in P3, Charles Leclerc, on 85 points. Norris is only 5 points behind Max Verstappen, who is in P1 on 96. Norris is on 91. So those top 4 are very close for driver of the season so far. Now heading in towards the most fun part of the podcast, guys, into our 2021 British Grand Prix predictions. Janco, you can read my predictions and say how much points I gained with the predictions.
Okay, so you said your first prediction was the sprint quali crash.
I should have said
fail.
Race.
Second was Red Bull podium, fail. And third was Ferrari top 10, where you got 5 points.
Yeah, I mean, literally, that should have been actually easy predictions, but Red Bull just had a terrible weekend.
Yeah, they really did. Like, Red Bull's usually your safe prediction.
Exactly. So, heading on towards Demi's predictions, she said Max podium, which is a fail. Hamilton podium, which he got first place, that's the top spot of the podium, 5 points. And Ocon in the points, which he got P9, that's 10 points for Demi. Janco, you've got boosted.
So he said Ricciardo top 8.
5 points.
5 points. Gasly top 10. Nope. And then Latifi top 15.
He got 14.
We got points.
That was actually a bold prediction from Booster. I'm going to give him props for that. Very bold prediction.
So he got 10 points for that.
Yes. Jess said Max misses his signature podium celebration. Max didn't win, so that's obviously no points. She said a Leclerc top 10. He nearly won the frickin' race. So that's 5 points for Jess. And Norris top 5. He got 4th, so that's 10 points for Jess. You've got Jonny.
So Jonny said number 1, Russell top 10 in Q3,
which he got
5 points. 2, wet sprint race, nope. And then 3, Norris top 5, where he got another 5 points, so he stands at 10.
Yes. Jadepie said Verstappen podium, unfortunately a fail. If Verstappen didn't have the crash with Hamilton, she would have gotten a full 16 points. Norris top 8, which she got 5 points for, and Ricciardo top 10, which got her second 5 points, so Jadepie also walks away with 10 points. Janco, you've got yourself.
Yes, so my predictions were Norris top 10 quali, got 5 points. Verstappen podium, fail. And then Ferrari top 10, well, I got another 5 points, so I got 10.
And then finally, Melanie said, actually you and Melanie are the only 2 members of the Motorsport Lounge that have gotten a full 16 points for all 3 of your predictions correct. So Melanie, the one leading this little championship, this chocolate championship, she said Red Bull podium, unfortunately a fail. Ferrari top 7, where both cars were in the top 7, where she got her first 5 points. And Hamilton podium, he won the race, so that's 10 points for Melanie. Now Janco, you've got the standings after the previous round 9.
So in 8th place we had Jadepie with 30 points. 7th place we had myself with 31 points. And then tied in third place we had Turbo, Boosted, and Jess and Demi with 45 points. And second place we had Jonny with 50 points, and first place Melanie with 51 points.
Now, after round 10, it's a little bit more closer. Jadepie is still in P8 on 40 points. Janco, you are still in P7 on 41 points, but you guys are catching up really nicely. I think give it 2 or 3 more rounds and you guys are going to be in the fight.
Hopefully.
Myself and Jess are tied for 4th place on 50 points. Demi and Booster are tied for P3 with 55 points. Jonny is still in P2 on 60 points, and Melanie is leading the way with 1 singular point on 61 points. Now, finally, guys, before we end off this podcast, we've got one more thing to do. The 2021 Hungarian Grand Prix predictions, which is happening this weekend. Janco, you've got myself and Demi to do first.
Okay, so your predictions for this weekend is Ferrari top 5, Russell top 10, and Red Bull bounce back.
Hopefully I get 16. You can go with
Maybe.
Demi.
And then Demi has 3 different constructors on podium.
Oh, that's bold.
That is really bold. And second one is Russell points finish. And third one is Gasly top 10 finish.
Not bad.
Not bad.
Boosted said Perez top 5, Stroll top 10, and Norris battles for a spot with Bottas. That I want to see.
Yeah, that I also want to see, I'm not lying.
And Jess said Max leads again, so Max is going to lead the race at some point. That's hopefully an easy 5 points for her. Norris top 5, and she said a Ferrari podium. That's her bold one. You've got Jonny and Melanie, Janco.
So Jonny said Red Bull podium, McLaren top 5, and Russell in Q3.
Again, very bold, Jonny. And then Melanie.
And then Melanie has Ferrari top 7, McLaren top 6, and Red Bull podium.
Melanie really wants this bad because she's going for easy predictions.
Well, so was I, so.
Janco, you said a Ferrari top 10, Verstappen in the top 5. If he doesn't get a top 5, I think you might just cry.
I definitely will cry if he doesn't get at least a top 5.
And then you said for your third and final prediction, Norris with the top 10. And then
Top
finally...
8.
Oh, sorry, top 8. Sorry, excuse me. And finally, Jadepie said Verstappen is on the podium, Lando top 5, and Bottas in the top 7. Very safe predictions from your and Jadepie's side.
Now we have to catch up in some way, so.
Yeah, you guys are allowed the easy predictions. The rest of us need to go with 2 bold and 1 easy prediction. But guys, that has been this podcast for the 2021 British Grand Prix. And very dramatic weekend. A very fun weekend, nevertheless. But heading in towards Hungary. Janco, your final thoughts, and also what are your expectations for Hungary?
I really hope that it will be a really exciting race. Lots of action, lots of overtaking, maybe 1 or 2 crashes. Not that anybody gets injured, but it's always fun. And I really hope that it's a wet race, because I haven't seen my first wet race yet.
Ooh, you're gonna.
Because I want to watch it, you know.
Okay.
So yeah.
And your final thoughts before we say goodbye.
Just I'm just happy that you asked me to come with you today, and thank you for letting me be a part of this.
No, man, it's just a pleasure. And guys, if you like Janco, let me know by hitting that like button, and he will definitely be back.
Just remember, always laugh at my jokes.
And guys, my final opinions. But once again, coming back to the Hamilton and Verstappen crash. Very sad for Max's sake, but I'm very glad the championship is back on, and hopefully Hamilton and Verstappen can keep this intense racing for the rest of the season. It's just going to make it a very exciting spectacle. And my expectations for Hungary, it's Monaco without the barriers, but Hungary has always lended itself towards fantastic racing. And basically my biggest hopes are that Ferrari are fighting with Red Bull and Mercedes at the front, because just like Monaco and Baku, where you had high downforce, the Baku is a high downforce middle sector and Monaco is just a high downforce track. Hungary is as well. I hope Ferrari are running at the front. The fact that
I actually hope that they battle with Mercedes, not Red Bull, so Red Bull can lead, you know.
The fact that Charles nearly won this weekend, I am craving
Ecstatic.
a Ferrari victory. So
Yes.
I hope that happens for either Sainz or Leclerc. But guys, that has been the podcast. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for staying till the end. Remember, before you let us go, this podcast is probably going to be split in 2. So make sure to drop a like on both parts of the podcast. Make sure to go check out the links in the description down below. My second channel, Forza Watch Gaming, the social media platforms for all the Motorsport Lounge members. And also make sure to go check out my South African gaming clan, Falcon Gaming. And finally, if you are new towards the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe down below. Don't
Click the notification bell.
Don't forget to ding that bell to never miss a future awesome episode
Ding, ding, ding.
here on Turbo Fox RacerZ. And Janco, say your goodbyes.
Thanks guys, thanks for listening. Please do leave a like, so I know that I'm loved. But yeah, see you next time.
Guys, thank you so much for watching. Love you guys, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Cheers!